Stay hungry, stay foolish.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
I have a dream. Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Hello and welcome back to the Knowledge is Power podcast. I'm Max Willett, and today we got another amazing guest, something that I'm super excited for, and I've been looking forward for a while. So if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Well, Max, thanks for having me on. I'm Greg Wittstock, the pond guy, originally from the East Coast. I know you're out in Long Island, right?
Rhode Island.
Rhode
Yeah.
Island. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm originally from Summit, New Jersey, where I was born, which is outside New York City. I grew up in South Jersey, outside Cherry Hill area. And I have been living in Illinois since 1982, when I moved with 12 of my pet turtles and began my hobby of water gardening.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on. And I would love to hear all about your business and sort of why you started your business. So if you could explain Aquascape and how your whole business works, that would be awesome.
So this is my 31st year in business. How old are you? 22, Max?
21. Yeah. 21.
21. I was 21 when I started my business in 1991. And I was 1982 when I started as a hobbyist with those aforementioned 11 pet turtles that I brought from New Jersey to live in the flat barren cornfields of Wheaton, Illinois. Mm-hmm. My parents promised me I could bring my turtles and build a pond for them since I was leaving my lakefront home in New Jersey. And that first pond leak turned green. Even my prized turtles migrated away. And that was the beginning of my odyssey, because my backyard became my classroom. And I would experiment and MacGyver up and Jimmy rig up different filter systems. My pond was leaking. So after 2 years of trying to fix cracked concrete, I used a liner. And after basically spending every summer putzing around and ripping out and rebuilding my pond and the filter systems, it started to look pretty nice. And then one day the UPS guy was delivering a package. He rang the doorbell. Of course, I was outside putzing in my pond. And I said, come around back. And he turned the corner and looked at the pond and said, this is beautiful. How'd you ever buy a house with a spring on it? Which is a good compliment to a pond builder. And I said, nah, man, I built this. And he goes, you did? Can you build me one? And I thought, well, yes, I could. And that was 1990. And that's when I came up with the idea to build ponds for other people. I told my mom and my dad that all I needed was a wheelbarrow and a shovel and a strong back. And I already had the strong back from playing football. And that Christmas, I got a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and Aquascape was born, building backyard habitats for fish and plants in Chicagoland. And I spent that first year, I built 5 water features, $22,000 in sales, 50% net profit. I had $11,000, bought my first truck, and I was off and running. It took me 6 years to graduate college because I'd spent 6 months building ponds and 6 months going to school. But I finally graduated in 1994 with a degree in interpersonal communication from the Ohio State University. But I learned way more outside of the classroom than I did inside the classroom. And I was definitely a hands-on learner. And that was 31 years ago today. Aquascape is the world's largest decorative water feature installer. We still install. And the products that I patented, I now ship all over the world. And my main business is manufacturing water feature equipment and supplying landscape contractors and garden centers products for people to enjoy living the Aquascape lifestyle and having water features.
Amazing. So I would love to hear sort of the structure of Aquascape. So watching all your YouTube videos, and I love watching them. They're simply amazing. The energy you bring to every video is incredible. I can't even do that. I have a small YouTube channel and I struggle to do that. And I don't make nearly as many videos as you. But I'm sort of interested in, I hear a certified Aquascape contractor thrown around. Could you explain that a little bit?
So what I'm doing is, and on October 1st, I will hit 1,000 videos on YouTube.
Wow.
So over the last 5 years, it all started when Logan Paul did a shout out that he wanted a pond, and my phone blew up, and I had heard of Logan Paul, but didn't really know him. And within 48 hours, I was in Encino, California, in Logan Paul's backyard designing a pond. And 6 weeks later, I was there with 40 certified Aquascape contractors, which are guys who have gone through our training and represent our brand. And they were, and then I figured if I was going to build a pond for one of the world's biggest YouTubers, I should start YouTubing. And so I think that was my 4th or 5th vlog. And we'll be at 1,000 this fall, like I said, October 1st. And I travel the world and visit certified Aquascape contractors who have been trained in our methods and our philosophies. And I basically showcase their customers. So the end consumer, so my customer is, the people that buy the products, and then they sell them and they install them for people that live the Aquascape lifestyle. So I get to showcase on my vlog channel, Greg Wittstock, the Pond Guy, living the Aquascape lifestyle from certified Aquascape contractors all over the globe.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a great business model and amazing. And I don't know who around here builds ponds, but I really don't see a lot of them in Rhode Island. So maybe once I release this, some people will be inspired to build some ponds.
Well, we have a mutual friend in something fishy, Kurt.
Yep.
He was a pond builder, but he went fully into aquariums.
Yep.
I've been out there to that island vlogging. Mark Domino's Agway. So we got guys out there. Yeah.
Okay.
On Rhode Island. Sure we do.
All right. Very cool. That's great. And I'm very curious to hear, I mean, obviously your business is built up of many different things like products and building ponds, but what is the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding part of my job is also the hardest part of my job, which is people.
Yeah.
So Max, a great quote is, people will be your greatest source of inspiration and your greatest source of aggravation. So
yeah,
it starts right here. My wife has been married to me for this fall will be 25 years. So good quote is, there are no enduring relationships without forgiveness. So I have had to ask for forgiveness a lot and occasionally give forgiveness. Obviously, I'm a wild, crazy entrepreneur, but I've built a very successful team. Almost all my managers have been here for over 20 years. My top managers in terms of longevity, Ed and Brian, who also both have their own vlog channels.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, the Pond Professor, every Saturday, and Brian Helfrich's Team Aquascape, which is every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, 29 and 27 years respectively.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're like my older brother, Ed. I think he's 55. Brian's 46. I'm 52. So we kind of all grew up in this industry, kind of all created this stuff together. And they are, of course, my pride and joy because I'm so proud of what they have become. And then, we have 130 teammates at Aquascape, and every one of them has a role. They're all better at their roles to some extent than I am. And I just try to stay in my lane. I'm good at like 2% of the stuff. And I just try to stay in. As long as I stay in the lane, everything is okay. But to answer your question specifically, the thing I'm most proud about is the team at Aquascape, and then, which is people. And then also people would be the tribe, which is what we call our certified Aquascape contractors. People all over the world that are representing our brand and that are my boys that I get to travel with and hang with and vlog on my channels, and just seeing how they're living their dreams through creating dreams for other people with water features is just a huge immense amount of pride for me.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome to hear, and very interesting. Actually, I was watching a video this morning of you guys transforming a concrete pool in Florida into a pond, and it was I think it was on the Team Aquascape channel, which is Brian, right? His channel. That was an amazing build. It's honestly probably one of my favorite, because I love innovation and recycling things into something better. Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening to the Knowledge is Power podcast. Please make sure to leave this podcast a review. You can review podcasts on Spotify now. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, you can also follow Knowledge is Power on Instagram at knowledgeispower_RI. So thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Yeah, so that was our buddy Sam at Florida iguana and turtle growers down in Fort Lauderdale, and we did that as part of our Aquascape winter retreat so we did that last January, so 7-8 months ago. And we basically showcase what we do as our construction business, whether we're at Build a Ponds or right now we're currently getting ready for Pondemonium, which is the industry's biggest event, and our guys are in the back creating a contemporary recreation pond to kind of and then the fun thing for me, Max, is I get to share this stuff with the world through Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.
Very cool. So I mean, I obviously heard about you through YouTube, and I'm very curious to hear, where is YouTube in the grand scheme of your business? How important is it to you? And obviously, just through people on the channel have heard of you through YouTube and gotten in business through the channel. So how important is that channel to you overall?
Well, social media in general is a huge, I mean, I'm the founder and CEO of the company. I'm not the president of the company. I don't run the show. I let a woman who's got infinite more wisdom with me, who's been with me over 20 years. She kind of manages the day to day. I work on the business, not in the business. And I spend the majority, I would say, of my time on the social aspects of the business, being able to basically share with the world what it is that our, Aquascape and our certified Aquascape contractors do. So in terms of its importance, it's important enough that this is the majority of my work as the CEO of the business. The number one job I have as a CEO of the business is to guide and guard the company culture. I find that a culture is a direct reflection of the leaders. And I want to make sure that all of our leaders, all of the people that work here buy into the same vision, which is to help our customers succeed. And I can feel energy. So when you actually, it was neat. You talked about how you liked my energy when I was on a vlog. Well, it's kind of hard to not contain myself because this is my hobby. I was able to turn my hobby into my profession. And, I like turtles, fish, and frogs. I'm 52 years old, and it's the same thing I was doing when I was 12 years old. So, it doesn't mean that it is easy, because all business is fixing problems. And trust me, when you have 130 teammates and you have tens of thousands of customers, you're going to have a lot of problems, and you're dealing with code, supply chains, and price, fluctuations and everything else. But a life without problems, another one of my quotes, Max, a life without problems is the definition of hell. If you don't have, the purpose of life is to have a purpose. And when you work your whole life and then retire and you don't have a purpose and a reason, that's when people die. So I never plan on retiring, but I plan on doing the things that I enjoy and am halfway decent at, like traveling and visiting my customers and vlogging. But those are just some of my philosophies on business since you got a business podcast.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And I love to hear that. And it's interesting because within I'd say, less than 10 videos, you had acted like you had been on camera for years. So what do you think made you so comfortable being on camera?
Well, for me, it's that I get to share my passion with the world.
Yeah.
So it is my hobby.
Yep.
This stuff is my hobby. I still like turtles, fish, and frogs. In fact, I don't know if you can see this. That's Brian.
Oh, yeah.
You see that kid out there, that waterfall? He's with
Yep.
that. So tomorrow he starts school, and Brian said, I think I'm going to bring he's going into 7th grade. I'm going to bring my son tomorrow, and he's just like us. He's out there with it. I guarantee you he's catching frogs or fish or something out there right now. And I'm just talking to kids like that. I'm just dealing with contractors that are like that. I just obviously you're kind of a hobbyist too, which is how you found our stuff. So to me, it's not I don't have to fake anything, because I really am excited. The first time people see the water features on camera are the first time I'm seeing the water features on camera, as I'm visiting these places with our certified contractors. So I just basically share my perceptions of what that water feature looks like. But this is my hobby, and so to me, it's not faking it, because I'm just talking about the things that I'm passionate about, which makes it easy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amazing. And I have a question for you when it comes to, so you built a lot of ponds. What pond means the most to you?
Well, listen, what means the most to us is being able to introduce people, whether that's a small or a big pond or a fountainscape or a pondless waterfall, although I do prefer ponds over that stuff. I am the pond guy and not the pond. It's knowing how a water feature will change a house into a home. And for me for us to be able to turn on a waterfalls and, see the homeowners gasp with excitement or have a tear come out, it never gets old. Coming back and seeing a water feature that we built a year or two and seeing all new furniture out there, seeing everything that's evolved, the garden, and them telling us that, they spend so much more time outside now with their families, time together. Like, come on, that's like, where do you get that? So to me, the most enjoyable part is introducing people to our hobby, living the aquascape lifestyle and knowing how it's going to change their house into a home. It's going to get them outside into nature where people need to be, where kids need to be, de-stressing. And so for me, that's what really, is the enjoyable factor about a water feature.
Very cool. Well, and something I'm really interested in, I'm a tech person. 3D printing is technology, and I really enjoy learning more about technology. And something that I notice a lot in your videos is you love talking about the structure of what goes into a pond. It's not just like, boom, here's a pond. You explain how it's built, which I love.
So the team Aquascape is actually the construction.
Yeah.
Talk about it just to give people a perspective. Like this pond just didn't come here. There were 10 tons of boulders or 20,000 pounds of boulders that were each personally, placed into this water feature. To a homeowner, to a do-it-yourselfer, 20,000 pounds of rock is an all-summer project. To a pond guy, that's a 2-day job with 4 or 5 guys that are experienced, right? And so I give perspective. We always say, if you're a hobbyist and enjoy building things and it's a hobby for you, do it yourself. If you want to save money because of 20,000 pounds of rock being moved or whatever, hire a professional. And we still believe that because it's always less expensive to do something right the first time than the second or the third time. But if you're a hobbyist, then it's okay to rebuild it because you're enjoying the hobby. But not a lot of people are, especially with these bigger water features, are capable of doing it and not, kind of screwing it up. So this is why we do the online training, the Aquascape University, that free courses. We, want people have success with this. And then there's paid courses because a lot of people run their businesses around this. And so the Aquascape University really took off during COVID when we couldn't do as much hands-on training.
Very cool. And I was wondering if you could explain, what makes an aquascape pond better than your competitors?
Well, the certified aquascape contractor mantra is pond right, customer serve right. And there's a pond done right is beautiful, low maintenance, and enjoyable. And a customer serve right is that they're getting a beautiful, low maintenance, enjoyable water feature. And so many people out there that I guess one of the biggest frustrations, Max, that I have is people that have a huge majority of our certified the majority, I should say, of our certified contractors' work is rebuilding somebody else's pond. And a lot of times that is a homeowner built pond. A lot of times that's a professional built pond, professional being somebody that says, oh, sure, I'm a landscaper that can build you a pond. Well, how many ponds have you built? Because a certified guy has had to go online training. They've had to go to the and pass that. They've had to submit 3 projects. They've had to submit testimonial letters from customers. There's continuing education credits like coming to Pondemonium, things like that. And there's a huge difference between a fly-by-night contractor that can build a pond and actually a professional. So the only people that we really recommend to build water features are certified aquascape contractors because we can stand behind their work because we know that they've been through our training programs. And so much of certified contractor works is rebuilding poorly built water features.
Yeah, interesting. And I'm especially interested in like the aqua blocks. And I mean, I don't know if you could explain those a little bit too, because those are really interesting.
So Max, here's what we're going to do. Since I'm the business guy and you're a business podcast, I will defer some of those questions. I would love it if you would feature Ed Ballou, the pond professor.
Okay. All right.
Because that's a product line that he developed. He actually came up from stormwater management, but the whole wetland filtration. If you want to get technical, geeky, specific water feature stuff, I can certainly do high level. But I would rather just talk on the business. And if you want to get geeky with the technical stuff, perfect. Let's get Ed the podcast.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll have to reach out to him, but yeah, no problem. I apologize for that. But could you name originally when you first started building your business, what was the best sort of marketing strategy for you?
Well, the best when I first started, it was just hustle and bustle. I built the first water feature came from a classified ad in a newspaper. And the second water feature came from a business card and a picture at a local rock yard. And the next 3 water features that I did for 22,000, that, for five projects, all came from the first 2. So that's where a classified ad and a picture at a rock yard with a business card were the first 2 actual marketing sales, and the other 3 came from friends or neighbors of those first 2 people. What really grew my business was direct mail marketing. So I started mailing catalogs in 1995, and that really took off. I mailed out 26,000 catalogs in 1995, and by the year 2001, I was mailing out 3.2 million catalogs.
Wow.
Direct to contractors in the green industry, basically teaching them about, how to build the Aquascape lifestyle for people. So we became a direct mail marketing company. Now, Max asked me in 2022 how many catalogs I'm mailing out.
How many catalogs are you mailing out this year?
None. We're digital. It's all electronic. It's all social media. It's all YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So you got to evolve with the world, which is what makes it exciting, right? So it would be really nice to still be mailing out 3.2 million catalogs and everything else, but who reads the mail when they're scrolling on their iPhone? So we had to adapt with the times. So marketing today, the majority of our marketing is electronic, and it's through basically just sharing our passions with the YouTube and all the other social platforms, which is why the majority of my time is spent around that world.
Great. Yeah. Well, and something I'm interested in is, obviously, I mean, if anybody listening has seen your YouTube channel, you did a pond for Shaq, which is, yes, exactly, pretty awesome. How did you market or somehow get in contact with him to build a pond for him?
Well, like anything, success is a journey, not a destination, and it took years to land that project. Shaquille O'Neal's cousin ran one of his car washes in Orlando, Florida, and one of our certified Aquascape contractors get his vehicle washed there. Of course, it's all logoed up and decked out with graphics and pictures, and they got to talking, and my cousin, is Shaq, and he would love one of these at his house in Orlando, which immediately Jim Price is the name of the contractor, called me up and said, hey, I got an opportunity with Shaquille O'Neal. And so I don't remember how long it was, but, week or month after, something like that, I flew down there with Ed, the pond professor, and we were supposed to meet with Shaq, but he, celebrities are, I think he was in LA, he was on FaceTime or something back then. And so he wasn't there, but we designed a water feature, and then found out a few months later that he was planning on selling that house, which I think he has since done that. And he would like to set his home in Atlanta. This was right when he was starting. This is 8 years ago now, right when he was starting with TNT in Atlanta, Georgia. So he was getting a home up there and was building an addition on it and everything else. He said, when the addition's done and Pete, the treehouse master, puts my treehouse in, I'd like this in front of the treehouse. And so in 2020, right when COVID was getting going, I flew down to Atlanta, FaceTimed again with him because he was back in LA at his house out there, basically sheltering at home. And we spent 30 minutes on the phone, designed a water feature, came back in May with a bunch of artists of the year, which is our top certified Aquascape contractors. And we ended up building Shaq over 4 days, about a $250,000 water feature in the front of his yard.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. You say 4 days. So what is the ideal time it takes for you guys to build a pond? Like, what are you shooting for whenever somebody comes to you?
Well, we figure out each project by man hours. So an 11 pond is usually 40 to 50 man hours. So if you have 4 or 5 guys, that's an 8 to 10 hour day. Shaquille O'Neal's was probably more like 800 man hours, but I had 20 guys then.
Yeah. Yep.
If that was a crew of 4 or 5, that might take 3 weeks, or a crew of 20 that are experienced and know what they're doing, they might be able to do it in 4 or 5 days. So it's man hours. Each job is man hours based on site access, based off of all the factors, size and everything else that go into it. How many pounds of rock? I mean, we used over 100 tons or 200,000 pounds of rock at Shaquille's house. Yeah,
and I gotta admit, like, when I was watching your videos, I was trying to find what pond I liked the most, and I really liked the pond that was at your old house. That house, that pond was amazing.
Have you seen my new one?
I'm not sure. Oh, okay.
it's been on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
But I was not very happy. I built my pond. I built my pond in 1999 and my house in 2000. And my pond is 1 acre. So I built the pond, the house second, and the water went right up to the edge. It's a 1 acre pond, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I am the pond guy, right? I want a big pond. And my wife, I mean, it's a big house. And when we became empty nesters, which was last year, my wife said, "Hey, we're going to be empty nesters next year. Why don't we downsize and get a place out west in Park City, Utah, which is where we'd always dreamed of." So I was not excited to sell my house. I was excited to start a new life out in Park City, Utah, which is basically now where I live full time. And then I visit Aqualand because I'm mostly traveling, visiting my customers. I visit Aqualand and basically just high five everybody here, have teammate meetings, break bread with everybody. But, when I got, most of my management been here for over 20 years, I don't need to be sitting in budget meetings after 31 years running a business. Like I said, I stay in. So we have a beautiful home overlooking the mountains in Park City, Utah, and very happy. Just finished that pond in June, and I'm back and forth between Chicago, vlog visits, and Utah.
Great. Well, I know you're sort of pressed for time, and we're coming up on that time mark that you had mentioned. So something I end every podcast with is, if you could leave one piece of advice, whether it be life advice or business advice, for the listener, what would that be?
Well, I have, obviously, at the age of 52, I've got some season and 31 years of being an entrepreneur. I got some advice, but let me give advice not from myself, but from AARP, the organization AARP. Have you ever heard of that organization?
Yes. Yeah.
What is it for?
I'm not sure, but I know it has to do with insurance.
No.
No?
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
American Association of Retired People.
Okay.
Which is, by the way, the world's largest organization of individuals. There's more people in AARP than any other organization.
Wow.
Every time at 50, they give you you could officially be an AARP member. Anyway, so to quote them, they asked their members, what one piece of advice would you give future generations like yourself? And as you would imagine, there was thousands of pieces of advice that, millions of members, hundreds of millions of members would recommended. But there was one piece of advice that was recommended more by AARP members, Association of Retired People members, than any other. Would you have a guess on what that would be, Max?
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
That's 3 words. It was 3 words, but it wasn't don't give up. It was be happy. And then the key word, now.
Oh, okay.
Not when you win a lottery. Not when your wife, does this or the kids do that, not when your ship comes home. Be happy now. And when you're in a happy and content state of mind, it actually manifests itself into your ability to create wealth, to create opportunities, to create enjoyment. So the one piece of advice that you asked me that I would recommend is what those wiser and older than myself have necessarily said, which was be happy today, not wait until your ship comes in tomorrow or something else changes, and you'll probably manifest better things for yourself. So be happy now is my final piece of advice.
Well, I really appreciate that, and it's great advice, and I really appreciate you putting aside the time today to talk to me. I love talking to people like you who love what they do and plan on never stopping. So thank you very much for coming on.
Well, Max, thank you, and we need more kids like you at 21 that are motivated to go places. So good luck to you, young man.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, thank you for listening to the Knowledge is Power podcast, and I will catch you in the next one.